6.5%, was it? Is that what the current odds are of the Stanley Cup?
Well, and if you look at the round-by-round progression, the Stanley Cup favorite is the Vancouver Canucks.
Like, what a time to be alive!
Talking you through every goalie controversy, scoring slump, and draft lottery bust, this is the C4 Podcast on CanucksHockeyBlog.com. Here they are, the best starting lineup we could afford under the salary cap. Chris, Matt, Anna, and Adam.
Welcome to another episode of the C4 Canucks Hockey Podcast, brought to you by the Full Press Coverage Network and CanucksHockeyBlog.com. I am Chris at Lightforce, joining you from the beaches of Locarno. And virtually, or not virtually, your guests. Joining me also is Anna Forsyth, a little bit crispy, forgot to put the sunscreen on. You can find her on the Twitters at AForsyth03. Welcome, Anna.
Honestly, I am barely sunburned. I have like my constant strip at the top of my head. I'm actually, compared to last couple weeks ago, I'm actually not that sunburned. I'm just a red person.
Well, I mean, call a spade a spade. I think you and I come from the genetic
Celtic
background
stock,
that does not preclude itself to handling the sunshine entirely well. I've gotten better over the years. Like, I've developed the farmer, but...
Oh, yeah. I definitely have a farmer tan. I'm showing Chris right here that I literally, my freckles stop there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The, my dad and my sister, they go a pleasant brown. Like, you know, that sort of...
Right.
I say pleasant. Don't be quoting me all the, like, health problems that they may encounter. But whereas me, my mom, my brother, we go angry red. Yeah.
I mean, the good thing is, like, if I do get sunburn, it tends to go quite quickly. Like, I'm not red for, like, weeks, but, yeah, it's not good. I get sunburn pretty easily.
Yeah. Anywho, maybe we are on Locarno Beach right now. I actually do have the gear. We could, in theory, record somewhere remote. I don't know if my complete podcasting setup would work, but I have gear that could pull the juice out of the computer, so we maybe are recording from Locarno. Locarno's like one of my favorite sort of Vancouver beaches.
Locarno's super nice. I used to live over that side of things. And I do miss just being able to, like, pop to the beach, like, 5-minute walk away, but...
Yeah. The thing I like about Locarno the most is it can get real busy, like if you're trying to park and, you know, get your stuff, but there is space for everyone at Locarno, whereas like you go to like Jericho, Kits.
Yeah, Jericho fills up pretty quick.
Although
I would say that Jericho has a decent park behind the beach that not a lot of...
But if you want beach, right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing with like Locarno as well, is like when the tide's out, the beach goes to like the North Shore.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, so if you're a swimmer, it's like you got to time your visit.
Yeah. But speaking of hockey, the NHL is not yet done. It had its shot to be.
Yeah, it's almost there.
But couldn't quite push it across the needle to keep our podcast recording schedule lined up. So it's going to happen. I mean, we're going to come back to you in a couple of weeks' time just in preparation for an entry draft and be like, hey, look who won. Yay. But
I don't know if yay will be our reaction. I mean, either way, I mean, it very much looks like it's going one way more than the other, but yeah, it's all right.
So we'll talk about that. I mean, the Vancouver Canucks, they continue to exist. I think that's the best way to describe it.
I think this might be a fairly Canucks light episode, just because of the nature of the off season. But yeah.
And you know, the NHL always aims to please us by doing things we wish it would stop doing. So we'll get into that too. But without further ado, let's wind the podcast back up. So the Panthers decided to make it interesting. Right? They go down 2-0. Mm-hmm. They go down 3-0.
No.
Or no, sorry, 2-0. No. They win one. They go down 3-1. Sorry, I was like doing the math wrong. Like, how did that work? No. It's on destiny. I'm in the Stanley Cup final.
Yeah. Like, considering the, like, games 1 and 2 were kind of blowouts, I don't know what I was expecting, but yeah, a tight win. Maybe that's just like all the energy that Florida has left.
I could see them rallying.
Yeah,
to get
I mean,
they make it 3-2.
3-1, but yeah.
But Vegas is a team, and if there's something that I would look at Vegas as is saying, hey, Vancouver, there's a model there. That might be it.
I mean, team in cap trouble, like rebrands and relaunches and, makes it to the Stanley Cup final on the brink of winning. Like, surely that's Canucks all over.
Yeah. But the thing about Vegas, though, is that, yes, cap trouble, but as an organization, they don't seem to be too worried about dishing players, getting maybe less back than so long as it helps, right? Like, does it free up the space? Does it allow us to be creative in other trades? Does it allow us to find a player that then we can plug in? Like, you look at Vancouver over the Benning years. How many years did they commit to continuing to bring in a player only to see it not work out, but decide, it was just a bad year?
Yeah, I think we've just started this discussion in Discord, but yes, the Canucks are the ones that commit to the bit, like whether it's trading for a clunky contract where a player's had a down year and just saying, oh, we can reclaim this, another reclamation project. Or, the Canucks, they make a mistake, why don't we just keep making that mistake? Like, this might sound a bit harsh, but JT Miller, I'm not saying it was a, mistake, but they almost was see, we were right about JT Miller. He's great. He was worth the price. Let's re-sign him for 8 years. Rather than saying, yeah, see, we were right about JT Miller. Let's trade him at his peak.
But, the other thing to consider as well is while Vegas may be in cap trouble, they're not in a cap predicament. As it stands right now, if you go to Cap Friendly, if you haven't been on Cap Friendly recently, and you take a look at the projected cap hit for the 23-24 season, there is only one team in the red. Now you might think, but that's okay. It's the off season. No, see, the 23-24 season, the projected cap space that the Vancouver Canucks have is in the negative. Quite literally, as an organization, they need to free up $1 million just to be compliant when the puck drops. And that's on top of needing to go in and, ensure that they have another defenseman on the roster. I mean, Ethan Bear would be it, but he's not counting to that number. So if you add an Ethan Bear, you need to then add another X amount of dollars off. The Vancouver Canucks currently have only one goaltender on the roster. And this is presuming that Mikheyev is still injured. And that Pearson and Pullman remain injured. It is scary. So Vegas has some space. And if they win the cup, it's a much sort of, I think, different story than if they don't.
Sure. And that's the thing. Canucks being in cap trouble and on in the Stanley Cup final, who's complaining? No one. But, Canucks missing the playoffs and being in cap trouble. Yeah, I don't know. We're talking about second chances this episode, and Canucks are the worst at that because they're just they give people second chances. Instead of saying, "This is your second chance. Here's a cheap deal. Let's see what you're made of," which teams like Vegas have done. And Canucks say, here's your second chance. Let's pay you $6 million. Just pulling that number out the air, not for referring to a specific 6'7" defenseman. Let's see what you can do.
And as far as Vegas is concerned, I would argue the star of the team, Adin Hill.
Yes.
He is going to be an unrestricted free agent. I think Aiden has played himself into getting a raise. Whether it's with Vegas, I do not know, though I can't imagine a world where Vegas would let him walk. Laurent Brossoit, UFA, I presume he's done if Aiden's coming back.
Yeah.
You know, they still have Robin Lehner on the books, though I think Robin's done. So,
yeah.
You know, that space doesn't really hurt you, just the contract itself does. But like, you know, Vegas, if they get their goaltending situation sorted out, do need to find some room to then have a competent 4 lines available to them. And they arguably have maybe 3 right now, the big club. But again, these are problems. Like, they have room to work with and play with, and they could potentially make deals. It's quite possible that, you know, they could find a way to move some money from a player like, you know, Chandler Stevenson. Again, not suggesting they go and dish him, but could he get you the freedom and flexibility that you can do with?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Chandler Stevenson, I think he rubs some people up the wrong way, but he's one of the players I really like to watch. Yeah, I think that's kind of a pattern, actually, with, like, players that I get attached to, but, like, he's earning, like, under $3 million. I think that's such a good deal.
He'll be due a raise, not the season after, on top of which he is, I believe, an RFA, or no, he's UFA.
UFA, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, good opportunity to get your contract talks in early with the right team. But these are the things that you look at Vegas as having done, and you know, anyone out there's like, oh, they got it easy. The expansion draft rules that they had just set them up for so much success. They ran into a wall and thought, oh, well, what is it that we need to do to climb over said wall and get back into a position that we can win? They did that. The Vancouver Canucks have not. Like, I mean, the previous regime has left them in such dire straits that the current regime, short of trading JT Miller before July 1.
Which, I mean, I do think they still have a lot of hope that the contract like Tyler Myers could be moved. But
the thing is, you move 6, right? That's great. But what are you retaining, or what are you taking back that eats that up?
How do you eat like those minutes? And that's presuming like, OEL's coming back and like can, as we know, he signed till the end of time. But I mean, coming back to eat those minutes is a like healthy level for the rest of the next season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think it's unfair that we sort of look at Florida and haven't given them a hope in hell.
Yeah, I mean, considering their playoffs, like, they've had really strong impact players and impact performances, but yeah, they haven't, like, they do not look competitive against Vegas. Yeah.
But that's where, you know, a team like Florida, you're like, okay, well, they can get competitive. They actually don't have as much flexibility. They have fewer players or, you know, impact players under contract than Vegas does. They have a blue line that's going to be short 2 spots, no matter how much you look at it. You've got, you know, Bobrovsky making some serious goaltending money. Right? So therein lay another issue.
Him, it's just a name.
You know, so there's all of these different sort of things at play, and I feel that Florida chews a lot of that space they have up, whereas Vegas has resources that allows them to maybe not retool, but repurpose. Yeah.
And like 18-year-old Sam Bennett isn't 18 anymore.
No.
Like, yeah. Little Sam Bennett grew up, so you know, there's a few of their really strong players that just are like on the older side. So, yeah, obviously there's not the oldest team in the league, and you know, pot kettle with the Canucks, but yeah, I don't think they have as I would agree with you that I don't think beyond like Barkov and Kachuk, who are again signed to Land of Time, good for them, but like they don't have a lot locked up for the future.
Yeah. But anyhow, you and I both agree Vegas is going to win this, right?
Yes.
Do you think it goes to game 6, or is it done in game 5?
No, it's done.
Okay.
Done in game 5. Like, sorry, Florida, and sorry, Bobby Lou. It was nice. It would have been nice for him to get a cup as an executive, if nothing else.
Well, maybe, Vegas has already been raising the cup after 2 games.
Yeah, that was a funny little exchange between him and Viaxa on the broadcast, I thought.
Yeah.
Cute.
Something else that's taken place that I don't recall has happened during the postseason is a blockbuster trade. Like, trades happen. Like, I'm not naive to think that they don't. But I can't remember the last time a big deal took place during the postseason, let alone the Stanley Cup playoffs. But that's what's happened. And it's a 3-way trade. You've got the Kings, the Flyers, and the Blue Jackets all getting in on some action here. So what did the Kings do? Well, the Kings went and sent a bunch of players elsewhere, including a pick. What they got in return, this being from Philadelphia, was Kevin Connaughton, former Vancouver Canuck, Ivan Provorov or Ivan Provorov, and Hayden Hodgson. That provided them some cap space, which, they would enjoy having. And Provorov is a relatively decent player considering what they sent out. The Flyers, on the other hand, the Flyers got Cal Peterson, Sean Walker, Helge Grans, and LA's second-round draft pick. They also got a first-round pick from Columbus, which happens to be LA's pick. And they got a conditional 2024 second-round pick from Columbus. And the condition is that once the first round is complete, Columbus has to tell Philly, are you getting it this season or are you getting it? It's 2024 pick, so it's not this year. It's next draft. Yeah.
Nice.
Now for the Flyers, the Flyers got a bunch of picks, a couple of players, their cap hit plus 900. And then what LA then did with Provorov is they sent him over to Columbus, retaining some of his salary. And Columbus feels that they're made like the spades. But when you look at this deal, and at least the people over at Cap Friendly, at least the forum members of Cap Friendly should put that out, they definitively think the Philadelphia Flyers won the trade. Like, we're talking like 99%. And some say Columbus, not so bad. No one understands what LA was up to, short of finding space.
Honestly, I'm agreeing with the Cap-friendly commenters. I haven't been impressed with Provorov this season, and that's not just because of his stance on Pride jerseys. Like, Provorov is, like, on a downward trajectory, I would say, and I get why you would want to invest in a chunk like of that, but like a sizable piece like him, but like kind of Columbus, what are you doing? Like, is Columbus the team to do that and take on that risk? I don't know. And I think what Philly have done is smart, and considering the position they're in, which is, dumpster fire somewhat when Briere came in.
Well,
I kind of like the direction.
And that's the thing, is that the general feeling on the scene is that Briere is coming in playing 3D chess.
Yeah.
This trade looks good on a number of different levels. Like, if you were to look at Florida, like, what ultimately did it cost them, right? It cost them some cap. But what did that, $900,000 shift allow for them to acquire? Picks.
Yeah.
Like, including a first round pick. Yeah, it's late, but still, like, this is if you could get a first round pick for 900,000.
Yeah, like, first round picks, just take all the picks you can. Don't get fussy about what kind of pick they are. as evidenced by the Canucks in their trade negotiations.
Yeah. I mean, you look at what Philly's got this year. They got 2 in the first round. They got 2 in the third round. They got 2 in the fourth round. And then they got 2 in the sixth round. They don't have a second round pick, but they make up for that next season when they got 2 in the first round, 2 in the second round, or potentially 1 if that goes to 2025. But like Philadelphia has got themselves the ability to rebuild through draft. They have provided themselves some additional cap flexibility. Plus 900 is not going to break the bank. They were already there. Now they do have to go and sign players, but if you're rebuilding, you're going to jag that right up with jag contracts.
Jag it right up. Yeah, I like the jag is now a verb.
Cal Peterson, great. You got him at $5 million. He's a UFA in a couple of seasons. That's not going to be too harmful. Carter Hart, granted, RFA, but still, yes, he has arbitration, but I think the ball's in their court. Like they're in a good spot. And if Briere can continue to do what he has just done, it's everything that we had wanted Vancouver to be doing.
Yeah. Yep. It's like the fact that I know he was interim before this, right? But like the fact that his first like move as GM is like something that's not like completely risk free, but like we said, like acquiring picks, your odds go up when you buy more tickets in the lottery. So yeah, considering how far back Canucks got set by betting, yeah.
And
it makes you mad.
Tis what it is. We're going to take a little short break before we get into Half Full, Half Empty. You're listening to the C4 Canucks Hockey Podcast, brought to you by the Full Press Coverage Network and CanucksHockeyBlog.com.
Take hitting out of the game. You can't hit anymore, so don't do it.
The unsportsmanlike conduct, I want to get an explanation on it.
No kidding.
Because how do you get suspended for unsportsmanlike conduct?
Plus interference. There's no interference there. He had the puck.
Now, Madison never ever did that before. Now, why did he do it? And that because he was mad.
Well, your early favorite for the Calder Trophy, that's for sure. Elias Pettersson, you might even say your early favorite for the Hart Trophy.
Just to get back to your question, Elias is going to play plenty. He didn't play. He's going to get a lot of power play time. And, yeah, I'm concerned about our offense. We lost 2 100-point players, and we've got to find a way to score.
It could have been a F word. Like this segment could have been the F word. But if you haven't been paying attention to the news, it is likely that 2 coaches who had been banished to the fringes for being bad guys, and I'm painting that very delicately when I say bad guys, could be perceived good guys again. Because, hey, everyone deserves a second, third, fourth, eighth chance, regardless of the situation as to which they were involved in. Now, what we're talking about is Mike Babcock being reinstated and finding his return in Columbus. And then there is the possibility that Quenneville finds his way back in the league. I don't know if he was Quenneville ever, quote unquote, suspended?
No.
So he doesn't have to apply for reinstatement.
Well, Gary Bettman said that they need to have a conversation before he will allow him.
The big G.
Exactly. That, by what I understand from that, is just like, he gets free pass to be back. And obviously this is theoretical at this point. There's no necessarily job out there that Joel Quenneville is going to take. But I think the conversation's being had again, not helped by just like one of the worst people, former players, Bradshaw, conversation on a podcast where he victim blamed Cal Beach, and then B said that it's a shame that Joel Quenneville isn't getting a job in the league anymore, and that kind of kick-started the conversation. What I say on Bradshaw is believe people the first time. If people tell you who they are, believe them the first time. Bradshaw, Andrew Shaw. Oh my God. Sorry to Bradshaw, the coach.
I was I don't recall, but you're much more connected to the world of hockey than I am.
Sure.
Like, why was this in rework?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Bradshaw. You're a good defense defensive coach. And I'm sure you're a decent guy. Andrew Shaw. Andrew Shaw was suspended, actually, I don't think he was suspended. He was just fined because it's the NHL for using the F word slur during a game once. I think he got fined $100,000 or something pitiful for him. And I would say that's true of Mike Babcock and Joel Quenneville. If people tell you who they are, believe them the first time. Like, what has Mike Babcock and Joel Quenneville done of any, like, sort to earn redemption?
Well, to be honest, like, I can't tell you. I don't know. Like, it is very possible. It is very possible that he has simply not been out there, blowing his own horn, saying, look at me, I am reforming myself and what have you. I highly doubt that that's been taking place. I truly do. But even if that was the case, that doesn't necessarily, present itself as being reformed. Babcock has many players who have come out and described him as being a very horrible person, to the extent that he destroys the individual and does whatever he can to accomplish that so that he feels that it betters his team, or his situation. Like, it is bad in a different light than, let's say, Quenneville, who, when presented with a choice of being a good person or winning the Stanley Cup, decided that the Stanley Cup comes before all.
Yeah, and to be fair, like, he was part of, ownership decided that as well.
Yeah, no, it wasn't just him, but he,
but
not the quote unquote, not my problem under the rug. Doesn't matter to me. Follow the code.
Yeah, 100%. That was it. Not my problem.
Yeah. The thing about Quenneville, actually, just sort of coming back to him having a conversation with Gary Bettman, there's no reason why that conversation needs to take place or would be taking place now if there wasn't a reason for it to take place. Because it's not as if this was a conversation you had to put off, right? Like, I know Siri's getting all freaked out by me talking about this, but the thing about the conversation is that it means there is a team that has either knocked on his door or the coach himself has decided, I'd like to maybe throw my hat in a ring or two. Mm-hmm. And where he's like, Babcock, I mean, this hot rumor has been going on for a couple of weeks now, where Columbus has had him allegedly at the top of their list. And I had read that there are other teams that reportedly looked at his resume. Take that for whatever it's worth. I don't understand the NHL's desire to continue to, and this is even the bigger issue of continuing to go back to known problems. Like, it's not about second chances. It truly isn't. Yes, everyone deserves a second chance. That doesn't necessarily mean you get it for free. Yeah,
exactly. You have to earn that chance, right?
And you earn that second chance. There are a laundry list of people that have taken it for granted. I mean, former Vancouver Canucks coach Mark Crawford was discovered to not be a good individual in his own right. Credit to him. Yeah. I didn't know any better at the time. I done screwed up. I got called out on it. I should have called myself out on it. But hey, water under the bridge. I've looked into it. I've talked to people. I'm going to improve myself and it'll never happen again. And guess what happens? Over in Europe, Buddy's back to the same old act. And again, as you said, once the individual shows you who they are, that's who they are. Mm-hmm. The onus is on them to show you. It is not. I have to give you a second chance. Hell no, man. Show me where you deserve one.
Totally. I think you hit the nail on the head there. Like, yeah, it's not on us to give people a second chance, but that's what the league is. The league, one, it lacks imagination. Like, I think we talked about it in Discord already, but like, on the other end of the scale, Ryan Reynolds, like, was part of a bid to take over the Ottawa Senators. Ryan Reynolds is almost like single-handedly, along with Michael Henney, however you say that, like they've revamped like a non-league team from like the 4th tier of English and Welsh football, got them promoted, and like earned them like so much money and put all global eyes on the team. But NHL said, no, you don't have like all the funding in place, so no.
Yeah.
Like, it lacks imagination. We're gonna like see the same 32 dudes, maybe 33 or 34 dudes recycled over and over again. Like, honestly.
Well, I mean, segue to that Ottawa Senators ownership situation. They also had a bid that was well financed. In fact, arguably was considered to be the top bid financially, withdraw their offer because of the length of time it's taking. And then you have the other sort of quote unquote celebrity bid, the Nico Sparks bid, which is allegedly underfunded and therefore out of the mix. But I don't know why the process is taking as long as it is. Maybe it comes down to the fact that the NHL once allowed the sale of a team in Long Island to a guy who had like $100 in his bank account.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, look at the mess in Arizona. Talk about sunk cost fallacy. Like,
well, I was talking
to accusations.
I was talking to the friend of the show, Jay, about Phoenix, Arizona, whatever you want to call them. Let's say the NHL moves. And I can't remember who it was. It might have been Halford about this. Someone actually said this. The moment NHL expansion gets looked at again, and it will, don't be naive to think the NHL won't look for the expansion dollars. The owners love that extra cash. Guess what market is at the top of our list from a TV perspective? Now, it could be right timing, different situation, what have you, but you got to look at Phoenix again.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just like a mess to me. I'm not saying like other major sports are doing like great jobs and we'll see the similar problems of toxic people getting second chances in the different sports league. But in terms of shooting itself in the foot, you do think the NHL has like is doing the best job.
Yeah. Oh, anywho, just the Blackhawks again. Also to remind you that the Blackhawks were found to have been complicit in the harassment and abuse of an individual player in Cal Beach. And the league's response is, you know, you did a bad thing. Don't be bad again.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's a number of different things that could have occurred. The league could have gone and handed down significant penalties. But no, Chicago has the first overall pick this year. It's not one that they lost. I mean, the NHL has punished teams for contracts by taking away a first overall pick. Yeah. A compliant contract that they've determined is no longer compliant. First round gone. First round gone.
Yeah.
Team complicit in sexual harassment. You've done a bad thing. Be better.
Yeah. I mean, Arizona got their first round pick taken away for their behavior at the NHL Combine. I'm not like trying to justify all these other things that people are getting fined for, whatever.
But where's the bar?
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. Like, literally, they're going to have a generational talent on their team next year. Like, and you've got a retiring captain who ignored sexual harassment on his team. You've got yeah, I just think it's still rotten, right? Like, they may have gotten rid of their GM and coach when everything came out and everyone was too appalled for them to do nothing, but it's still like rotten.
It is. But that is the NHL. The bar is so weird. You test some players at a combine, you sign a compliant contract that actually is no longer compliant. Bad things. You're evil. You shall be punished.
Also training your players in the off season.
Yeah. Fined.
evil.
Be punished. Player asked for it. We don't care.
And what was it, like less than a month later, the NHL
Yeah.
decides
Oh,
it's
hey,
actually
now
fine.
the player can. Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Anyhow, it's just, this is not a woe is us Vancouver Canucks fans. It's just a league that quite seriously needs to go and set a standard. Like if the standard is you break rules, you lose first round picks, great. In fact, let us be so upset that all Chicago lost was 1.
Yeah.
As opposed to nothing, because that's worse. In my mind, in my view, you can't talk your way out of saying we're okay with this. You can't say you're not, because your actions don't back up your words.
Yeah, totally. Like, as far as the NHL is concerned, like, the sexual harassment is okay. Like, sexual assault's okay. Like, I mean, let's not forget that we're still, like, really...
But Anna, they tell you it's not.
But the amount of work that went into, like, getting Hockey Canada, so it's not just the NHL, Hockey Canada, to even, like, admit anything was happening and to get any information out of them.
Once the money came called into question. And honestly, I genuinely think that's the only way the NHL changes its tune, is when they have significant sponsors say, we don't want to be part of this. Like, could you imagine if Rogers were to suddenly turn around and say, nah, man, you're toxic. We don't want to be part of this deal anymore. Yeah. And if Bell then said, not us, the NHL would clean up its act in an instant. That's how important Canadian television money is to them.
Totally. It has to come from the Canadian market too, you would have to think, and one of the 7 companies we have in Canada.
Well, I mean, the thing about TV, there's really only 2. Bell and Rogers, who currently co-own an NHL team. So,
yeah, I mean, it is like ridiculous. Like, that's a topic for another day. Like, where the money comes from, like in hockey in Canada, you know, from the ground up, like from midget to at the NHL, like comes. But setting that aside, like. Yeah, you have to hit them in the pocket, because there's like, they will pay attention to nothing else. They will not pay attention to the fact that they are failing as a league. Like, participation numbers in the youth is down massively. Yeah. And like, look at all the other like sports that getting just eating up your market.
Agreed. Well, if any of our listeners has an idea how to fix the NHL, we're all ears. Tell us in Discord. Please. Maybe we'll send a letter off to Gary and tell him that C4 has got some ideas. Because, you know, hey, maybe that's the problem. Maybe they just don't have ideas. We could help them out. We could be the, longest running, best mediocre podcast with ideas. And
the only way's up.
Yeah. We'll take another brief moment and start dreaming. You've got some seriously good flow there, Anna.
Thanks. I think that's generous, but
hey, better flow than me.
I didn't want to say that, but yeah,
well, that's okay. I mean, I think you've seen a picture of me from like my high school days, like my grad photo.
I don't know. If I haven't, are you going to share it on Discord?
Sure, I will drop it in Discord. But I had some decent flow back then. I mean, okay, in fairness, the flow itself, I didn't have it like full on flow. Let's be honest. I kept it sort of a little more business, but the potential existed for it to be like Besser-like.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. So that's our topic for this week, in case you couldn't tell. It's best hockey hair, like dream team full of hockey hair. And what I would say is that I have gone for, luscious locks. I'm not talking just nice hair. If it's nice hair, but it's like kind of short or unimaginative, then they haven't made the list.
Okay.
How about I go and then you help me out where I'm stuck?
Sure, sounds good.
Disagree with me. So on the left wing, I have Artemi Panarin.
All right, good. That's who I actually wrote down.
Nice. Yeah. I do think, like, I was just like, oh, his hair is okay, but I looked through several photos, and it's not just, like, plentiful. It looks like it's in really good condition, so I need to ask him what hair products he uses.
Full of body, the curls are present. Like, I actually genuinely wonder how he fits a helmet on his head.
Yeah. I think, no, I was trying to make some kind of connection to, like, clear conscience, because he hates Putin, but something like that. At center, I have perhaps the greatest hockey hair ever. The great one, Wayne Gretzky.
Okay, we're talking like 80s Wayne, like young Wayne, right?
Yeah,
I was going to say, because he went full on business once they won a cup.
I know, but that was, that's boring. He had great, like, when it was, like, proper, like, almost David Hasselhoff style.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
Is there another person at center I'm not thinking of? I'm sure there is. I have to say, I did, like, scratch a few people because they're going to fit into a later Dream Team.
Oh, I was like, so this is the thing. You are the Dream Team segment owner, so the fact that you're doing this is phenomenal. I can't think of anyone. I wrote down names. Part of my problem here in putting the team together is then having to go and match up what position they happen to play. So I was just writing down names. But
and then, like, right wing, we just, like, we know who's at right wing, right? He's the reason we thought of this segment.
Brock Besser?
Brock Besser. The Flow himself. Like, yeah, obviously. It's Brock Besser. There were some good options at right wing, especially from, like, the 80s, but some mullets, but had to be Brock. I assume there's no arguments there.
No. I had Brock down.
Okay, so D is where it gets dicey for me, because at the moment I have two right D.
Oh, okay. So, who do you have?
So, I have Erik Karlsson and Chris Tanev. Some would argue Chris Tanev's hair is kind of more greasy than luscious, which I get, but
yeah, like, I wouldn't. So I get that he's got the hair, but to me, there's the flow. Like, the greasy takes away from the flow,
and that's a fair argument. So if you have a better option, I'm all ears. So I guess we take Erik Karlsson then instead. And then if you have a good lefty option, or even just another defenseman, because we can have someone play on that offside, right? It's the Dream Team.
Yeah. Thinking of another player sort of up front. So I had Mika Zibanejad.
Oh, he's on my honorable mention. So yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah. No, that's a great... Honestly, Zibanejad's a great one.
And then I had Kelly Rudy in that.
Oh, nice. Again, you might diss me on this and claim the grease element, but I put Roberto Luongo.
See, okay, this is okay. The grease, just like I'm not against what you're saying. I agree. There's flow, but for me, the grease takes the flow away.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm looking at old pictures of Kelly Rudy, and I'm down for that. I think his hair's bad now, and his style is bad now, but I can see back in the day.
Well, he is a goaltender. Like, he had hair coming out of the helmet forever. Like, I don't remember Kelly Rudy not having hair out of his, like, and we're talking like goaltenders who wear a helmet and mask that's considerably different. There was always hair. And that's indicative of some pretty solid flow.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. And honestly, another honorable mention for me would be Jaromir Jagr.
Jagr, yeah, Jagr.
But, like, you can't take it away from Brock
He's,
Besser,
70 years old, probably still playing?
Yeah, I know. I was just, like, when I Googled him to bring up some pictures, and obviously it was, like, Jaromir Jagr is the current, like, owner and right winger for the
Kladno Knights in the Czech League.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, he's... this past season, 26 games.
Just, like, incredible, like, human being.
51 years old, still playing. Unreal.
Yeah. So we're like, technically we're down a defenseman. So if anyone, listeners, please suggest a defenseman, a lefty that we can put it on the flow team. Yeah. I mean, I'm purposely holding someone back from D as well.
For a future Dream Team segment. Got it.
Yeah.
because you just can't bring up the same players in multiple segments. They can't qualify because they're just that level of awesome.
Yeah, well, we want to spread it out as much as possible.
Can't wait till we have the best dream team named Chris.
Oh, yeah. I think we'll get back to common hockey names. So Chris will come, because everyone in the 80s was either named Chris or Ryan. We know this.
Yes. Except I wasn't an 80 boy.
Oh, yeah, of course.
I mean, close enough, but I wasn't 80.
Yeah. I think it's probably late 70s to mid 80s, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Anywho, we are here at the end of an episode. And it would be remiss to us not to mention that the C4 Book Club is still in the go. The book that Anna had recommended last episode, which I have yet to actually get out of the library, is Boy Nice.
John Branch.
We should probably get reading it.
Yeah. I think what I will say is that the conversation will start in Discord after our next episode. So you've got 2 more weeks, people. And then we're going to start talking about it. So, I mean, it's hardly spoilers. Like, sadly, everyone does know what happened to Derek Bogard. But, like, I think it's just a really great read. And we're having some really great conversation on hockey culture and toughness and all that kind of stuff in Discord. So I think that leads on really nicely to the Boy Nice. So if you haven't read it, please do. It's in the Vancouver Public Library system. I think they have a couple copies. So if you're based locally, you can get it there. Support your local library.
The C4 Discord, which if you were curious, I'd like to take part in this conversation and or talk about the book, you can join by going to discord.io/C4 podcast. It is going nonstop. It goes all year long. Great conversation. We talk about everything. We got channels for everything. So again, hop in, take part. If you want to support our show, you can always go to Buy Me a Coffee, or as we call it, Anna,
Buy Me a Pint.
And that is easily accessed by going to support.c4podcast.com. When you go there, you'll be given options. You can support us just with like a one-time pint or 2. You can support us on a recurring basis, monthly or annually. And if you do annually, you get a slight discount on the monthly side. And the benefit of support is it allows us to continue to record our show the way we're recording it, produce the content that we are. I do wish we had the ability to provide you more, and that might be something we can do in the future. But we value how our podcast is a listener-funded one, which, again, I say it each and every time. When you hear commercials on the show, if it's not Chris or Anna speaking, it's not going to us.
Press skip.
Yes, we don't mind. Although we are getting to that stage where it is possible that AI could extrapolate our voice from our show.
Oh, true.
Right? But I don't think that's happening with our podcast
quite yet.
No. But we will be back in 2 weeks' time, just in time for the NHL entry draft, which is taking place on a Wednesday and Thursday.
Yeah, prime audience nights.
Which, okay, in fairness to the league, if they wanted on a weekend, it would have had to have been 24-25, which I think as far as scheduling went, didn't allow for the possibility that if the Stanley Cup final went to Game 7, there was a risk of too much going on in such a short period of time. So yeah. I get why the league pushed it, but then they run into July 1st, which is free agency day, and that's on the Saturday. So they had to have it happen.
Can we say, if they just did the final at normal, frequency of games, not just, random gaps of 3 days, then maybe that wouldn't have been an issue either.
It's the arenas. They get booked.
I know. It's a shame, but it's so true. It's just the NHL, I don't know. I just can't imagine any other sport being don't you think another sport would be well, it's the final, so you guys move. Well,
yeah, I don't know. when you think
Obviously
about
not in Vegas
baseball,
and Florida, but like
a lot of baseball stadiums aren't used to the same extent for events. They do, don't get me wrong. Football, the events that take place in those stadiums, and I mean, the NFL is stupid rich. So the events take place on Saturdays where games aren't being played, and they often have like alternative fields available. Like I think, like Tottenham has a field that they have three different pitches. There's the game pitch, the we don't want you playing on our game pitch, and the here's the areas to which you can play football on it or American football on it.
Yeah. I will say, yeah, it's just like coming from the UK where the football is so dominant, like everything moves for football. Like, hey,
if the Vancouver Canucks were in the Stanley Cup final right now, there was a guarantee they wouldn't have had a game on Saturday night because the UFC was in town, and USC ain't moving. The family would be more than happy to get that gate revenue over Stanley Cup playoff revenue. They probably want both.
Yeah, I mean, did they pack people in too much? Is that what caused the arena to collapse?
Yeah, if you didn't hear, where the fighter entrance happened to be located, one of the railings collapsed under the weight of all the fans. Now, where that would normally have seats. The railing is temporary, so there is a issue there already. But the fact that it happened is indicative of either one, someone done screwed up in installation, or two, the wear and tear on the building has maybe showcased itself a little bit
worn
more.
And torn? Yeah. Tell you which one my money is on.
Yeah. Hey, come on, Anna. They're upgrading it. They're putting in some really expensive seats, the color of black, that get you like much better service than club seats get, with an exclusive restaurant where you have stairs that go down into sort of where the dressing rooms happen to be. And like it's a ramp. Like, this is the other thing. It's a mechanical ramp, which, let me tell you, if railings are falling over right now, I wouldn't want to walk on those steps. Yeah.
It's like, I hate to use this phrase, but I don't. It's lipstick on a pig. Is it not? Like, the pig is like, needs, retirement or something. Like, yeah, Rogers needs a serious upgrade.
I mean, I look at it this way. The day they get rid of the Orca Bay Sports and Entertainment foldable chairs is the day that we're actually going to start to see real change.
Yep. Well, guest of the show, friend of the show, PJ and I talked quite a bit about this, but like, yeah, it's going to get like, if you're not producing on the ice, you really need to be offering something nice off it.
Yeah. Anywho, here we are at the end of the show. Any final words of wisdom for all of our listeners there, Anna?
Honestly, I'm just like ready for this season to be done so we can get some excitement, like entry draft, free agency. We had our one trade, but we want more. Like, as like thrilling as the playoffs have been, mixed playoffs, but yeah, I'm ready for like the business of next season and the future to get going.
Okay. Final words of wisdom from me: when you're at the beach like Anna and I are right now, always make sure to wear sunscreen, keep yourself hydrated, and remember, it's okay to go into the shade from time to time. Heat exhaustion and heat stroke are horrible things to experience. So on behalf of Anna, 4603, myself, Chris at Light Force, signing off this episode of the C4 Canucks Hockey Podcast, brought to you by the Full Press Coverage Network and CanucksHockeyBlog.com with We Out.